Hello and welcome to the Stevie P channel. It's been quite a while since I've done a reaction video. I want to try and start doing it on a weekly basis. And I thought that on the back of all the controversy surrounding the match, the referee, the whole Springbok versus Australia issue that we had this past weekend, which has caused debate far and wide, I thought I would react to the video that's been going around by quite a lot. And it's frustrating for me. It's a frustrating concept, this whole idea of every single time they have a match to then go and create a very one-sided review of refereeing decisions. And I think as we go through the video and we start looking at, I think the biggest thing is you got to look at which calls are missed, is there merit, and is there mitigating factors regarding to why the referee didn't give it or didn't see it. You know, I mean, if we start looking at every single ruck, every single offside, every single player, you know, an offside position, stuff like that, there's always going to be far more infringements being blown than what is during a game. So the question is sort of, there's always going to be a certain error rate, and what is it going to be? And that's what we're going to sort of go through, and I want to have a look at some of the things that are being flagged, and whether they should be flagged, and sort of where we sort of stand with regards to Paul Williams and the refereeing performance he did have this past weekend. So basically, we're going to go through the video. It's a 5-minute video. It's got a couple of clips, got a couple of instances and stuff like that, and we'll just sort of go through it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and share your thoughts and stuff like that. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot of content coming up on this channel. We're going to get a Kickstarter again to its rebuild towards the end of the year, so it should be quite a lot of fun. But without any further ado, let's go and have a look. So these sort of instances are always, it's always interesting for me for these, because there are a lot of 50-50s when it comes to rucks. There are always going to be a lot of 50-50s. So, you know, we look at this over here, and there's no doubt that Corey Beatty probably does go up his feet. Well, isn't supporting his body weight, but his feet are planted the entire time. So from a referee perspective, I don't think it's that clear and obvious that he's gone diving over. I wouldn't say he's not gone diving over in the sense that we often see where people are then lying on the side of the ruck. And the only reason he's flagged is because they end up going and scoring a try. Because there are so many various instances of this happening where they're 50-50 throughout the match. So again, I don't think that's a massive miss. You know, we conceded that try because we were terrible in our defense. This one I did have an issue with, actually, when I was doing my live stream, because I was a bit confused as to where they had found a high tackle. So you can see over here, he's called for an advantage quite late. This would indicate that potentially a call has actually come from the side. It's weird for him not to have said advantage as the tackle happened. So the thinking then would be potentially that the calls come from the side. And if you go look back at the tackle and stuff like that, the issue seems to be seen. Now, first of all, you know, you're looking at, is Khaleesi leading with his shoulder, with his arm, with his head? There has been a change in the point of contact. And then where is the contact? So over there, there is head-on-head contact to a certain degree. But I think there is a mitigating factor. I think the fact that it is so low, you know, it's almost head to chest. So it is pretty nebulous. I don't think it's a massive high tackle. Certainly not a dangerous tackle, for example. Very little in it. And then we're going to have a look. Now, this has also been doing the rounds, the Dwayne Vermeulen tackle. Now, so right there and then, it looks there like Dwayne Vermeulen's going to be able to make a legal, it's going to be a legal tackle on Dwayne Vermeulen, because if you look at Corey Beatty, his head is, his shoulder is looking about sort of shoulder-to-shoulder contact. His head's pretty much in line with where the ball's going to go. That's where momentum's going. There, again, he's making the hit there. Probably shoulder-to-shoulder. His head's actually going past Dwayne Vermeulen's head there. But suddenly, Dwayne Vermeulen, you can see, look at the whiplash. Now, if we look at the other angle, and again, the fact that we got penalized has got nothing to do with the tackle whatsoever. So we look at this angle over here. This is the one that is interesting. So there, again, first of all, he has dipped slightly because he has bending his knees. Right there and there, and I think the tackle technique's not bad. Now there, the question is, I think his head's gone past his head, but the question is there shoulder-to-head contact there? And that's what's been slowed down there. And it does look like it, except for as they come away, shoulder is really shoulder to shoulder contact. So it's difficult to see what actually makes contact with Dwayne Vermeulen's head. Again, I think Kobe needs to be careful. I think that it's close to being quite a bad tackle, but I don't think it's quite clear as clear as light of day in that sort of instance. And again, to say about South Africa gets penalised, it's got nothing to do with the tackle. That's a different incident. This one over here, for me, probably has more merit in terms of... So the issue here is that Gelant does slip, but there is head-on-head contact. And for me, what you should be doing, what we've seen been doing, is that should be a penalty for foul play. And it's not a case of it's intentional stuff like that. You go, it's foul play, and then you look at the mitigating factors. So Gelant has lost his footing a little bit, but there is still head-on-head contact, and that has traditionally been blown as a penalty. So probably right, we should have had a penalty in this situation. Now, the big one. And I've ummed and ahhed about this because there's such a big debate about whether this is a legal tackle or not. Now, this is kind of a very sort of past time with regards to if South African fans are saying there's no ways there's a wrap and there's no way this is a legal tackle. Other people are saying there's a clear indication that he does wrap. At the end of the day, he gets it very wrong from a tackle technique point of view. Because from a tackle technique point of view, you are taught that his head should be on the outside. See, in theory, his head should be on the other side of Mapimpi, and he should be tackling with his right shoulder. Now, it's always going to be difficult coming across like that to even begin to try and wrap your left arm. So there's definitely no clear wrap. The question is, was there an attempt to wrap? And I think, I've watched this over and over and over and over again, and I still actually can't decide where I stand on it. I do think it's quite, it's a bad tackle technique. Is there an attempt to wrap? It's difficult to see. What I will say is a lot of people are saying that Mapimpi is jumping into contact, which you're not allowed to do. Now, as he makes the hit there, he's still planted. So he hasn't left the ground there. So I don't think you can accuse him of jumping into a tackle when, as he's being hit, his feet are still firmly in the ground. Second of all, he's right near the try line, and you're allowed to dive for the line. So I don't think that people who are saying that it should be a penalty against Mapimpi for diving the tackle, I don't think there's much merit in that. Now, that arm is very much by the side, which is in theory illegal. The question is that your arm then has to come up and wrap as you make the tackle. Now, with the issue is that given the fact that there's such a high pace, the arm never wraps. And it ends up being tucked by his side the entire time. So, in theory, if you look at the letter of the law, it talks about the fact that your arm cannot be by your side, then it should be a penalty. It is a try-scoring opportunity, and so if it is a penalty, it probably is a penalty try and a yellow card. So, I think my frustration is not so much with the decision, the fact that it was never really reviewed. I would have liked to have seen a TMO go through it. I would have liked to have heard what they thought they saw and what they actually did see. Because that was a massive moment in the game, and it's still causing a lot of debate on Twitter and stuff and the likes. This over here, I don't think there's much in it. I really don't think there's much in it. It's a ball that's going loose. If we watch it again, it's a ball that's going loose. They're all after it. David Lendi is about a meter from the ground. He's leaning over, picking up the ball. He's going down. He's also pretty close down to the ground. There's very little in that. I would, if you start blowing that, I think that becomes a very slippery slope, personally. As a general rule, I think that from the side needs to be more repeated infringement, because there are always tens of racks from the side and not through the gate, which are 50-50 and speculative throughout the match. So I never really pay much attention to them, unless there's incredibly blatant and a continuous thing. This happens a bit later, so which is a weird thing. So I don't think it's going to be the same incident at all. Legal clean. I do think that this was a harsh yellow card. In terms of, if you look at the one side there, you can see his arm almost over the head, but he didn't see another angle. don't think there's a massive amount in it. I mean, I mean, it does look like it's almost kind of get to a neck, not really a neck roll. He's almost got his arms around his neck, but he's gone over. He's shoulder to shoulder, and he's brought him down. I don't think there's much in that at all. That's just poor defense, to be honest. And again, but ignores what happens to SA. It's just an inference that the ref has been deliberately biased against South Africa. This one, I think, if this is the rolling away, yeah, this I did have a big issue with. So there, Malcolm Marx is going to clean. Faf de Klerk's coming. He's been held in, yes, but there, he's in the way. Faf de Klerk asks the question. He's clearly still involved in the ruck, and he slowed the ball down. He's definitely slowed the ball down. There's very minimal effort to roll away. And the reason I think I've got an issue with it is that the same thing happens to Elton Jantjies. This is pretty carbon copy, if you ask me. Carbon copy. Nick White is there. Elton Jantjies is actually trying to get up. And the difference is that Faf de Klerk got onto the other side where the ball was and could play it. Whereas Nick White does a very scrum-offy thing to do. He stands on the side and he really milks it to say he's not running away. But you can see the ball was very much available if he had just gone on the other side. So that's frustrating because I picked it up in the game. The fact that I thought that was very harsh given what had happened earlier with Folau Fahenga. On a different note, I mean, this is like, how would we gone from a 78th minute or 70th minute incident back down to the 30th minute? Scrum penalty, that was James Slipper scrumming in. Yeah, again, that was probably something that was quite frustrating because a lot of people were saying that not much had actually changed between one scrum to the next, and the penalties were swapped away. The skew throws, I think that one's fine, to be honest. He's stepping inside. I think that's really, I mean, it's also going short's always a difficult one because you've got 5 meters. You know, you've got next to nothing. I did think, I mean, of all the ones to pick, I'm not throwing straight. I think that's a pretty poor one to go with because I think that there were incidents where they weren't showing, they weren't throwing it in straight, but didn't really get picked up. I think in general, I think my issue is just a lot of the first of all the rhetoric, the fact that it's considered the entire time it's always deliberately against South Africa, and I think that very much falls into victim mentality, which I don't like. And I think for me it gets a bit dangerous when we've just seen an entire 5-minute video and we haven't ever looked at a single incident that was South Africa infringing on Australia that was there not penalized. So if you're going to start doing these videos, you have to do it consistently. You have to go from 1 through to 80. You have to pick up all the mistakes for both sides, and you have to post that. To sit there clipping everything that South Africa didn't get and ignoring anything that Australia might have gotten, I don't think can hold that much weight, to be perfectly honest. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I really don't. I'm not a fan of these type of videos and stuff like that. That's why I thought I'd go through it and look at how much merit there is to it. I mean, I don't think it was the referee's best day. I certainly don't think of it as being Bryce Lawrence, levels and stuff like that. And more to the point, it certainly didn't affect the game result because the Springboks were really poor and they were outplayed. But yeah, let me know if you have a different opinion. I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys all very, very soon.